Welcome to the Slumber Readers Lounge. This is a space made for quiet nights, restless minds, and anyone who could use a gentle story to drift away with. Take a moment to settle in. Find a position that feels warm and comfortable. Let your shoulders soften and your breath slow. There's nothing you need to do here, and nowhere else you need to be. Just let the words become soft shapes in your mind, fading in and out like distant waves. Tonight's story is meant to give your thoughts somewhere gentle to wander until they loosen and dissolve into sleep. And whenever you're ready, we'll begin. A room in the clouds. There is a staircase that most people never notice. It begins at the far edge of a quiet park, where the grass grows a little longer and the path thins into a narrow strip of stone. Tall hedges rise on either side, thick and soft, their leaves holding the muted scent of rain and earth. In the daytime, people pass by without looking too closely. At night, the space fills with shadows and silence. But tonight, under a sky washed in deep blues and faint silver, you see it. The first step is waiting there, pale and smooth, as though it has always been part of the world and has simply been overlooked. The staircase rises gently out of sight, angling upward into a thin veil of cloud, and there's no sign, no railing at the bottom, no instructions carved into stone. You stand at the foot of the stairs for a moment. The park behind you is soft and dim, the glow from distant street lamps blurred at the edges. Crickets whisper in the grass. Somewhere far away, a single car passes, a low hum fading, and then gone. When you place your hand on the side of the first step, it feels cool and faintly soft, like chalk that has been polished by many hands but never crumbles. Your fingers leave no mark. It doesn't feel quite like stone or wood or anything you can name. It feels like something made to hold weight without complaint. You take the first step. The sound is small and steady, a quiet tap, a shift of fabric, a gentle exhale you didn't realize you were holding. The world behind you dims, as though a curtain has been drawn, not harshly, but with the slow, easy motion of someone closing a window against a mild breeze. You climb. Each step is comfortable in height, neither too steep nor too shallow, inviting a steady, unhurried pace. With every few steps, the sound of the park grows fainter. The distant hum of the city turns to a murmur, then to a sigh, then to something like memory. A soft mist gathers around you as you walk. At first, it's only a faint blur at the top of your vision. Then it thickens, barely, into a silver film that brushes your skin like breath. The air smells clear and clean here like fresh cotton the moment after rain stops falling. You keep climbing. The world below is gone now. Not lost, not forgotten. Just lowered gently out of sight. The staircase floats through the cloud, and for a while there is nothing but the steps and the shifting silver around you, lit by a quiet glow without any visible source. Your feet find a rhythm. Step, step, step. There is no hurry, no clock, no need to measure how far you've gone or how far you have left. The staircase exists in its own time, unbothered by numbers. Eventually, almost seamlessly, the mist begins to thin. Shapes emerge. You notice a soft landing ahead, hovering in the open air. The staircase leads directly onto it. The landing is woven from strands of something that looks like silver thread and cloud mixed together. It gives slightly under your weight, but holds you firmly, like walking on the densest, softest rug you can imagine, one that remembers your footsteps and then slowly smooths them away. You stand there for a moment, letting your eyes adjust. Above you stretches an immense sky, not empty but full of gentle gradations. High above, the colour is a deep, velvety blue, like ink spilled across fabric. Closer to the horizon, the sky softens into lavender and pale, pearly grey. The last traces of daylight linger like a memory, far off and fading. Before you, resting calmly in the air, is the room. It has no visible foundation, no pillars to support it. It simply floats, as though the sky itself has cradled it in place. 4 tall windows form its walls, reaching almost from the floor to the ceiling. The glass is clear, but with a faint softening at the edges, the way things look when you first wake up. and the world hasn't quite come into focus yet. Light traces the frames, thin lines of gold, glowing softly, neither bright nor dim. They hum without sound, a quiet presence like a heartbeat you can only feel if you pay attention. There is a door too, simple, unadorned, with a brass handle smoothed by hands that may or may not have ever touched it. As you approach, the handle turns with no sound, and the door swings inward with the gentle inevitability of a tide coming in. You step inside. The first thing you notice is the floor. It looks like cloud or fog, gathered and pressed into shape. When you put your weight on it, it compresses slightly, like the softest mat, then slowly rises back, leaving no mark. Each step sends out a faint ripple, a shifting of texture, and then the surface settles again, patient and forgiving. The room smells faintly of lavender and old paper, and something like warm linen hung to dry on a still afternoon. It's a smell that doesn't remind you of any single place, but of every quiet, safe room you've ever been in. The ceiling is higher than it appears from outside, arching gently overhead. Swirls of soft light move across it, like faint echoes of the clouds outside, drifting at their own slow pace. Around the room, chairs wait. They're not identical, but they share the same softness. Some have high curved backs, others have lower, wider seats. They're upholstered in muted colours: dusty blue, warm grey, pale cream, soft moss. Each one faces one of the tall windows, as if the sky outside is the room's only television, playing an endless, slow movie. In the centre of the room sits a long, low table. It appears to be made from something like wood and something like light, textured but glowing gently from within, as if it remembers the sun. On the table rests a stack of notebooks. They're small and neat, each tied with a ribbon. No two ribbons are quite the same shade. One is a deep navy blue, another a delicate silver grey. One is muted gold, another a quiet, faded rose. You reach for one without really choosing. The ribbon loosens at your touch and slips free, coiling itself into a small loop beside the book. The notebook opens on its own, pages turning with a faint whisper. The paper is thick, warm to the touch, edged with the slightest shimmer as though dusted with the remnants of dawn. The handwriting inside is small and steady, slanting slightly to the right. It doesn't feel like a stranger's writing. It feels like a hand that has written many things without expecting anyone to read them. The words aren't stories in the usual sense. They are fragments, half-remembered dreams, soft glimpses of places and feelings, bits of evenings and mornings captured in a few lines, a path that appears only when the river is silent. The feeling of sitting near a window, listening to rain tap on glass, a cup of tea that never cools beyond the perfect warmth for holding. You read a few of these pieces, and they settle in your mind like feathers, drifting down and coming to rest somewhere quiet. Near the back of the notebook, written more slowly, the ink slightly darker, there is a small note. For those who arrive here, this room is for rest, for minds that climb too high and wander too far. Stay as long as you need. Time will remember you kindly. You close the notebook. The pages fold together with a soft sigh, and the ribbon lifts itself, wrapping back around the cover in a smooth motion. The bow ties itself neatly, without fuss. You place the notebook back on the table and turn toward the windows. One of the chairs near the eastern window seems to be waiting. Its cushions are the colour of morning light, not bright or sharp, but that hazy, softened gold that seeps through curtains before you fully wake. You walk over and sit down. The chair welcomes you. You feel it shift and breathe around you, the cushions adjusting gently, supporting the curve of your back, the weight of your shoulders, the length of your legs. The armrests are warm, not from any heater or light, but as though they have known the exact temperature of comfort all along. You let your body sink a little deeper. Outside the window, the clouds stretch in all directions. Some are small, soft shapes, hovering like cotton, edges blurred. Others reach across the sky in long, gentle streaks, their underbellies glowing faintly with the last warmth of the day. Far below, there is no land to be seen. only a vast, slow-moving sea of cloud. The room moves just a little, you hardly notice at first. There is a subtle, almost imperceptible sway, as though the entire room is resting on an invisible current of air. Up and down, forward and back, a motion so soft it feels more like being breathed around than being carried. You watch the sky. The colours continue to shift, the blues deepen. The lavender cools into a dusky grey. Tiny points of light begin to appear, not all at once, but one by one, like thoughts rising lazily to the surface. Inside the room, the air is a comfortable warmth, a temperature that makes you neither aware of being warm nor cool. It simply feels right. The scent of lavender and linen lingers, steady and quiet. From somewhere you cannot see, a soft sound begins. It might be music, or it might just be the natural hum of the room. A slow, steady tone that rises and falls like breath. It has no clear melody, no sharp notes, just a soothing, continuous presence that seems to wrap gently around your thoughts and smooth them. You rest your eyes on a cloud drifting close to the window. It swells and folds in on itself, slow and graceful. As it passes, you think you can see shapes in it. A book, a lamp, a doorway, but they only linger for a moment before dissolving back into whiteness. The cloud moves on, and another takes its place. In this room, in this sky, the sense of before and after begins to loosen. You couldn't say exactly how long you've been here. You couldn't say how long you spent climbing the stairs or reading the notebook. It might have been minutes. It might have been much longer. Time here seems content to let go of its usual urgency. Across from your chair, by the opposite window, you notice another piece of furniture, a small low cabinet with 2 doors. It's simple, made of the same wood and light as the table. The handles are smooth and round, inviting but not demanding attention. After a while, or maybe almost immediately, you feel curious enough to stand and walk over. Your steps on the cloud-soft floor are silent. When you reach the cabinet, your hand rests on one of the handles for a moment. The surface is comfortably warm, like a mug that has held tea until just the right moment. You open the door. Inside, instead of shelves, you find a series of narrow drawers, each labelled with a single word written in the same steady handwriting as the notebook. Quiet, drift, ease, soft, stillness. You slide open the drawer labelled drift. It doesn't make a sound. Inside, resting on a bed of something that looks like light woven into silk, are small glass spheres. Each one holds a slow-moving mist inside, swirling gently, never hurrying, never quite settling. When you take one into your hand, it becomes slightly heavier, more real. The mist inside reacts to your touch, swirling more slowly, forming patterns that resemble distant hills, gentle waves, city lights seen from far away. You hold the sphere up toward the window. Through it, the sky takes on a softened blur. The stars stretch slightly, like impressions left behind after closing your eyes. The clouds beyond become even more diffuse, their edges feathered into almost nothing. Without really meaning to, you breathe a little slower, you place the sphere back in its nest, and the mist resumes its unbothered dance, as if your visit was just another calm tide moving through it. You slide the drawer closed, then open another. Stillness. This one holds folded pieces of fabric, or something like fabric, in varying shades of grey and blue. You pick up a strip at random. It feels cool at first, then gradually warms in your hand, matching your skin. When you drape it over your arm, the room around you seems to soften another degree. Sounds grow quieter, details less insistent. It's as though the fabric gently muffles the world, smoothing any sharpness that might remain. You fold it again and lay it back in the drawer, where it settles without a wrinkle. The cabinet closes softly. For a moment you stand in the centre of the room, feeling the slow sway beneath your feet. Above, the drifting lights across the ceiling dim slightly, their movements growing more languid. Outside, the sky has darkened further, a thick velvet sprinkled with stars. You return to the chair by the window. When you sit this time, the chair feels even more familiar, as though it's been shaped just for you. Every curve of it seems to fit you without effort. You lean back and let your gaze wander. Far off, on the horizon, you see something new, a faint glow, as if another room, another floating space, exists somewhere in the distance. It's too far to see clearly. It might be another lounge, another quiet place like this one, or it might simply be a reflection of your own room, echoing across the sky. You don't need to know which. You simply watch as that distant glow brightens slightly, then fades, as if it's breathing in time with the clouds. Inside the room, time continues its gentle, unmeasured flow. At some point you notice that the stack of notebooks on the table has changed. There are more now, or perhaps they were always there and you simply didn't see them before. You stand again and walk to the table. One of the notebooks near the top of the stack catches your eye. Its cover is a muted blue-grey, like the sky just before dawn. The ribbon around it is soft white, tied in an easy bow. When you pick it up, you realise this one feels different. Heavier, maybe, or simply more familiar. You undo the ribbon and the book falls open in the middle. This time, the handwriting on the pages looks a little more like your own. Not exactly, not perfectly, but in a way that feels close, like the way your voice sounds to you when you hear it recorded and played back. Just unfamiliar enough to be strangely intimate. The entries in this notebook are longer. You read, "There is a room above the clouds where thoughts grow sleepy, where the mind can rest without needing to empty itself first, where stories become pillows and memories become blankets." You turn the page. The room remembers every visitor, not as faces, not as names, but as the feeling of weight settling into the chairs, as the pattern of footsteps on the cloud-soft floor, as the sound of small sighs when someone finally feels safe enough to relax. You read on. Each line is gentle, descriptive. Some entries sound like fragments of stories you once told yourself just before sleep. Little scenes you half imagined but never fully held on to. A train that never arrives anywhere stressful. A garden that only grows at night under a soft blue moon. A library organised not by title, but by the feelings the books bring. You recognise something in these pages, not specific memories, but the shape of your own longing for quiet. The way you've wished for a place where nothing demands, nothing hurries, nothing expects. A place where you don't have to try to fall asleep, where sleep simply drifts toward you as naturally as a cloud passing through the sky. At the bottom of one page there is a small note. If you are reading this, the room has already begun to hold you. You close the notebook gently. The ribbon finds its way around the cover again with a slow, graceful motion. You set it back on the table, where it settles into the stack as though it has always belonged there. When you turn back toward the window, the sky has shifted once more. Night has settled fully now. The stars are clearer, brighter, though still soft at the edges, never sharp. The sheet of cloud below glows with a faint, cool light, like snow lit by the moon. You return to your chair and sink into it. The room seems to exhale around you. The slow background hum deepens, barely, enough to feel more than hear. It vibrates through the floor, up through the legs of the chair, into your bones, not with any force, but with a gentle, steady reassurance. Your gaze drifts. You find yourself tracing the patterns formed by the stars outside. They don't look like the familiar constellations you might know from maps and charts. Instead, they seem to arrange themselves into softer shapes. A lantern, a book, a pillow, two hands resting, palms open and relaxed. These impressions don't last long. They dissolve and rearrange themselves into new patterns, as if the sky is in no rush to make any single meaning permanent. Time continues to loosen. You feel the way your thoughts slow, the way edges become less defined. The worries that may have trailed after you up the staircase lose their urgency. Their details blur, their volume lowers. They shrink down to the size of tiny pebbles and then drift almost lazily out of reach. In their place there is simply the room, the soft floor, the gentle chairs, the glowing frames of the windows, the quiet, patient sky. You're not sure when your eyes first grow heavier. It happens gradually, one blink lasting a fraction longer than the one before. Each time you open your eyes, the room is still there, waiting in exactly the same gentle, unhurried posture. You watch as a single cloud passes close to the window near you. It's broader than the others, thicker, more like a pillow than anything else. Its edges are so soft they almost dissolve into the air around it. As it drifts by, the room seems to glow faintly brighter, as though the cloud carries a light of its own inside it. For a moment, you imagine stepping out onto that cloud. You picture yourself standing there, feeling it hold your weight, feeling it shift and rise beneath you like the slowest, calmest elevator in existence. You imagine lying down on it, feeling its coolness and warmth alternating, like a breeze that understands exactly what your skin needs. The thought alone is enough to relax something deep in your chest. You remain in the chair, but the image lingers in your mind, as vivid as if you had lived it. In this room, in this sky, it becomes hard to tell where your imagination ends and where the room's quiet magic begins. The two blend together, forming a soft tapestry of sensations and images designed for one purpose and one purpose only: rest. Far above, the faint lights across the ceiling dim further. The room is darker now, but not shadowed. There is still enough light to see the outlines of furniture, the frames of the windows, the soft shimmer of the cloud floor. It is the level of brightness that seems made specifically for sleeping. Enough to know that you are somewhere safe, not so much that your mind feels the need to stay alert. Your body grows heavier. Your muscles relax one by one without needing to be told. The chair supports you effortlessly, its cushions gently rising to meet you wherever you sink. Outside, the last of the lavender has drained from the sky, leaving behind a deep blue so rich it feels almost velvety. The stars don't twinkle sharply. They glow quietly like embers that never burn out. You realize in a distant, unbothered way that you could stay here. Not forever. Nothing needs to be forever. But for as long as you like, as long as your mind needs this softness, as long as your thoughts want a place to wander without direction. The staircase you climbed to reach this room still exists somewhere below, anchored to the park, to the ground, to the world. It will be there when you need it again. But right now it feels very far away. The park feels far, the streets, the lights, the noise, all of it gently placed at a distance where it cannot reach you. Here, there is only sky. There is only the slow sway of the room and the quiet presence of the notebooks and the cabinet and the chair and the floor that remembers every footstep and every sigh. Another cloud drifts by. This one is thinner, gauzier, tinted with a faint blue. It stretches across the entire length of the windows, like a curtain being drawn. Through it, the stars blur and soften further, until they are nothing more than gentle smudges of light. Your eyes close. They might open again, once or twice, but each time they do, they find fewer and fewer details to hold on to. The room remains, but it grows simpler in your awareness. A chair, a window, a glow, a sense of being held. You don't remember putting your hands in your lap. Yet there they are, resting calmly, fingers loose, palms open. Your shoulders have melted into the back of the chair. Your head has found the perfect angle, supported, steady, weightless and heavy at the same time. The room continues to float, slowly, gently, without destination, because it doesn't need one. The journey is the point. The drifting is the purpose. At some point, as you hover at the fuzzy edges between waking and dreaming, you have the quiet sense that the room itself is watching over you, not with eyes, not with intention, but with presence. A place cannot tuck you in, but if it could, this room would. It would smooth the air around you. It would hush the sky outside. It would dim the stars just enough that they keep you company without calling for your attention. It would let your mind grow soft. And so it does. Thoughts that once felt sharp are now rounded. Concerns that once stood tall now sit down quietly, folding themselves into the corners of your mind and then evaporating. In their place, there is only the gentle, slow turning of the world above the clouds. The room drifts. You drift. The chair holds you securely, and your awareness loosens, thread by thread, from the things that tether it to the waking world. What remains is only the faint sensation of floating, the distant impression of stars, the memory of pages filled with peaceful words, the echo of quiet drawers labelled quiet and ease and stillness. All of these become part of your dream. The staircase, the park, the city below. They are stories someone else is telling now. You don't need to listen, you don't need to follow, you are in the room in the clouds, and as the night stretches on, long and calm and kind, you give yourself fully to its gentle cradle and drift peacefully into deep, restful sleep.